Okay, it looks like we're live. Give me a minute to get this set up. Let's go to channel. I think we're live. It's not showing up yet. Oh, YouTube is terrible today. Yep, we're live. What a great thumbnail. All right, so I'm going to talk about a couple things here. I did a video. I don't know when I did it. A couple weeks ago. It was basically saying that I'm done with all this, right? And there's a reason for that. And I think it's kind of gotten out there, man, because I woke up to a bunch of text messages, and I guess everybody kind of knows. So since it's out there, I guess it's safe to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it because I still had that, that hope that that shit wasn't true. There's very few people. There's a couple actually, but there's very few people within all this bullshit that I would consider a friend. And I mentioned last time that, and I hope you guys can hear me. But I mentioned last time that I've been doing videos, man. I did about, I don't know, probably 56. I mean, probably more than that. Honestly, I don't know. I just deleted a bunch of them about a month ago. And those videos were all to one person. And that was my little group. So on the 25th of January, I stopped getting correspondence from this person. And that wasn't fucking normal. That's not normal. It was back and forth daily. Sometimes it'd take a couple days. Generally, it was, I'd hear from this person the very next day. And it very rarely went, I guess past 3 or 4 days. And so, since it's out of the bag, I figured I could talk about it. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but that last video was kind of me giving into reality to a point. Because that situation, at that time, I sold this hope, man. I had this, I had this feeling that, shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, man. It's a rough one. But I had this glimmer of hope that the guy would pull through, and this would be for nothing, man. I wouldn't have to make this video. But we lost Hunter. And for those who don't know, I'm telling you now, Hunter's gone. That's a tough one. It's a tough one to deal with. It's a very tough one to deal with, man. This has been a rough year for everybody. This isn't the first close friend I've lost within this year. But fuck, man. Yeah. I'm going to say he was the best of us, you know. He's the reason. He's part of the reason I started this channel. I explained that last time. But, you know, just so you guys know, so there's no bullshit before all the fucking stupidity starts. I'm going to read you what he sent me. Before I do that, give me a minute. I got to calm the fuck down. Give me a minute. I'm going to pull a 10 and say pause. Everybody just talk to yourself for a minute. Oh, sorry about that. This is going to be tough, man. This is going to be tough. All right. So I didn't hear from him for a couple weeks. And when I finally did, this is what I got back. Said, I told you last week I was ill. I did not know. What I did not know is how fucking serious. In the early hours of the 18th, I was in the ICU. Now this is the 18th of January. I was in the ICU 2 a.m. being told by the surgeon I had 5 hours to live due to a ruptured main aorta. I should have been dead, but due to the rupture and swelling, and the swelling had given fuck, I can't even read this. I should have been dead, but due to the rupture, the swelling had given me time. The surgeon said that this was a major surgery, 4 hours long with high risk. What did I want to do? No brainer. They operated just taking under 4 hours, and it seemed a success. It seems a success. I do not have blood infection, but the mechanics of the aorta is fine. The surgeon and I am his little. The surgeon said I am his little miracle. He said I can't read today. I just woke up, by the way, to all the texting. So today is the best I have been since the op, and managed to write you. You can Google where I am. It is called, I might say that. They have all been fantastic. Hopefully in 2 days I will be going home. I am so lucky to be alive with, and no more will I abuse my body. So, and they sent me a description of what a ruptured aorta is. So, on the 25th was the last correspondence I had with them. And that was this year. So, that's where we're at. He had a ruptured aorta, went in for surgery. Um, Said he was going home in 2 days. I guess he never made it. Or maybe he did. I don't know the details yet. And see, I haven't fact checked any of this, to be honest with you. A lot of people have been texting me saying that this is the case. Figure I'd just come on here, be done with it, deal with it before everything got too heavy in my head, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Which, I mean, to be honest with you, man, when I went out to Vegas, talked to some people out there, and this is one of the things we talked about. A lot of us hadn't heard from him for a while, and we were getting nervous. But we didn't know his last name, man. We didn't know how to look him up or any of that stuff. Been combing through obituaries, all that shit. Haven't found him. Looking for people named Anthony that passed away in that area. We haven't found him. So, the small group of us have been looking this up. We couldn't find him. But we kind of knew what the truth was. I mean, when the guy doesn't respond for that long. I got a video in limbo right now that I sent to him. And I was just, hoping that one of these days that, the views would tick up to 1, and I could say that, that this shit ain't true. But apparently it is. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. But, I felt I had to do this, man. There's some people confused. Someone told me something about COVID. Now, I don't know the details of what happened after the surgery. What went on after that. So who the fuck knows, the reality of the situation. I'm sure eventually it'll get out there. I think there's some people who have communication with his wife and stuff like that, which I don't. I just communicated back and forth with him. But as I said, I didn't even fact check this because kind of knew it. We all kind of knew this was going on, and just didn't want to admit it. So that's the reason I did that video last week. Saying that I was done, didn't want to do this anymore. That was the reason, man. This is the only guy that, to me, was really hitting this hard. Right to the end, man. I still have the last couple of videos from him that he put out. And so it was a passion project for him, man. He I don't want to say he loved dealing with Vegas, but this was his passion. This is what he did. It consumed him, man. It was every day. Every day this guy was working on this, was dealing with this, was trying to figure out this or that, or reading this or that. And, I would get, I said, I get emails almost daily saying that, what about this? What do you think about this or that or whatever? You know, utilized me because I kept it grounded, I guess. You know, because I'm more, I guess, as one person put it, pragmatic within all this. Um, and he liked to go off on conspiracy tangents, stuff like that. You know, he'd go crazy when I did. Because occasionally I'd send him a video saying, okay, well, how about this, man? This crazy conspiracy. And I'd fucking throw some assassination shit at him or some weird shit that, I just make up in my head. And kind of set him off, man. He kind of go nuts on that. He liked that sort of shit. But yeah, like I said, like I said last time, now that he's gone, I don't know. I don't see the point. He was doing the heavy lifting, for a lot of this. He was a good guy, man. He was a good guy. Yeah, he didn't get involved in the drama. He used to give me all kinds of shit when I did. Man, he definitely did not get involved in the drama, man. He did not like the drama. He didn't like anything to do with it. So, but like I said, it's the end of an era. I think, I think I'm pretty much done here. I don't know. Yeah, he got along with everybody, I mean, a lot of people don't even realize, man, we did a live stream. We did a private live stream at one point. We argued back and forth. Whether to put it public, whether to do it public, all that sort of shit. But because there were, people involved that, certain factions of drama didn't like, we just didn't, we didn't deal with it. But yeah, he would talk to everybody. He didn't play sides, didn't play favorites, and didn't do any of that shit. He would get frustrated with all the bullshit. Hunter was a guy who, what drove him the most, he would tell me this, is he would think about the people who had died that night. And, he'd send me a message one time saying that he was sitting there at, Thanksgiving, I think it was. I think it was Thanksgiving when he was going through that with his family. And he was talking about how bad he felt because he had that opportunity. And, 58 people didn't. That's what drove him. So, the only time that he got really frustrated with somebody, the only time he didn't really care for somebody was when those people would, when he'd see the hoaxers, all the crazy hoaxers, the nobody died, the actors, all that bullshit, that pissed him off. That got to him. That really bothered him. And so, that was the only faction group of people that he didn't really care for. But otherwise, yeah, he stayed out of the drama. He talked to anybody, anytime, any place about Vegas, man. He loved it. He loved, dealing with it. Like I said, that's probably a bad choice of words, but, it was a passion project for him. It's what he loved doing. Yeah. Like I said, he was one of the best, man. He's one of the best, man. You know, yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one to deal with. You know, it's hard. It's hard. The But yeah, now he's gone. Like I said, fuck, man, I don't know. I don't know if I still need to do this. He was the one that was keeping me to this. He was the one for the last year, I would say. Um, kept me going on Vegas, man. Kept me thinking about it. Kept me, reading shit. Kept, dealing with it. That was the guy. That was the only reason I made any videos really public in the last 2 years or whatever. He's always talked to me about expanding the channel, about doing, doing the channel and this and that and whatever and stuff like that. He'd get frustrated when I started talking about politics and coronavirus and all that bullshit. But, he still wanted me to pump out videos. He always pushed it, and that's why I say, I don't know, that's what I said last time. The last video I made, I kind of knew it was happening. I didn't know if we'd ever get a final result of this. I didn't know if we'd ever find out for sure. I wasn't willing to tell anybody. I didn't talk to anybody about it. There's two people that I discussed this with, to try and figure out what was going on, because I knew they had correspondence with them as well. And then they talked to one other person, and from there, I don't know how it got out and how it progressed, but it wasn't my story to tell. Now that he's gone, this is my story to tell here. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, he was ready to expand his channel. I think it was like March or April or something of last year. He was talking about going into doing this kind of content, right? There are people out there that do this kind of content. I don't know. I was, Angela here, I was in one of her streams talking about it. And I do watch a little bit of that. And, he was talking about doing a channel where he would go back on cold cases and stuff like that. And, dig into them like he's doing it with Vegas, like he did with Vegas. But he never did, he never got motivated. He would tell me that he can't get past Vegas. Vegas was his thing. And, he can never go past, doing Vegas stuff. So he never branched out that I know of. I mean, I'll tell all you, man, I had another channel for a while that had nothing to do with Vegas whatsoever. And I never shared it with anybody or anything like that. And there's nothing on it now because, the topic that was dealing with was, quite a bit different. I don't think anybody here would really give a shit. So I never dealt with it, on this. And I don't plan on doing that any further either, man. I deleted everything off of that. And, that's gone. Yeah, that's what someone said. Someone told me that Turber spilled the beans, which is fine. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Turber, through his channels had the guy's last name. There were some people out there that had information. The problem is that we didn't want this to go we didn't want to see videos come out. You know, there's, like I said, there's a group of us that, you know, have kind of become friends with the guy. And we did not want to, we didn't want videos coming out saying that this had happened and then not be sure about it. And we didn't want to give the information to somebody who would do some fucked up, you know, because we've had in the past when we've had people pass away, we've had people do fucked up, shitty videos. And, you know, and maybe that'll happen here. Who knows? You know, I mean, there's some pretty shitty people out here. But, you know, we didn't want that to happen if we could, you know, at all just stop it. So we didn't even talk to anybody about it. We didn't discuss it or anything like that. Now the cat's out of the bag. I feel it's okay to discuss it. That's why I'm on here doing this. And, like I said, I kind of want to dismiss any bullshit having to deal with, you know, people saying something's not true, about it. So I just want to come on and say my piece, you know. And like I said, he was to me, he was the best of us, man. He was, you know, as far as Vegas goes, man, the guy never got into drama. The guy was solid. He would find things that nobody else was looking at. Nobody else would find. You know, the last thing he was working on was that 115 miles an hour thing. And I'll tell you how detailed this guy is. You know, when we were arguing about this, you know, back and forth, because generally that's what I did with him was I argued a lot. And that's what he wanted. He wanted me to be the opposite, and he wanted me to walk him off those cliffs of crazy conspiracy when that happened. So when he was dealing with that thing where Paddock drove, and I forget what the date is, man, because I'm bad with dates. When he was dealing with Paddock driving back that 115 miles an hour on average, according to the report. I mean, you know, Hunter mapped it out, which I don't think that's that difficult as far as that goes. But he mapped it out, figured out exactly how many miles it was, what speed he would have to be going to get there in the time frame that he got there, the 42 minutes, I believe, if I'm correct. Maybe it was 48, but I can't remember exactly. But you know, we went back and forth on that for fucking, you know, weeks before he finally put out a video about it. And you know, and I never put, I told him I would avoid doing videos on anything. I would avoid talking about anything that he actually talked about with me. So, you know, I remember my questions of Vegas video when I did that. There was something in there, and I can't remember exactly. I think it had to do with cell phones that me and him had been discussing at the time. And I'm like, well, I just glanced over. I'm like, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm gonna wait for him to come up with his conclusion. He can do his own thing. I'm not going to step on his toes. And you know, I always had a lot of respect for the guy. I wouldn't do that to him. So, you know, when it came to this 115 miles an hour trip that Paddock made from Mesquite to Vegas, we went over everything, man. Hunter went and he found all the airports. He, you know, a lot of this didn't make his video. He didn't put it in his video because it goes on conspiracy. He didn't, you know, and I walked him off that cliff like this is not something you can prove. So, you know, why talk about it? And so, you know, the 115 miles an hour, there is an airport in Mesquite. He found that out. He found out exactly how far that is from his house, where all the radio towers are for pinging cell phones, because he figured, well, this was a cell phone thing. It had to be, they had to use the pinging from the cell phones. They had used the cell phone towers, which was not actually in the report. And that was something we argued back and forth. Well, what if they use something else? Did they use the cell phones? Are you sure about that? Can you prove that? You can't prove it, but you know, is this what you're going with? And in the end, yeah, he felt that the cell phone tower was the most logical for them to explain how they knew he was in Mesquite at this particular time versus, when he was in Vegas. Vegas, they had a thing where they got camera footage of him at the D. So that should be definitive, even though we haven't seen the camera footage. It should be definitive that he was in the casino at that time because they have him on camera walking into the casino at that time, into the D Hotel. The D Hotel is not near the Ogden. That causes a fucking problem. So, he could have drove 115 miles an hour back to Vegas, but he drove back to the D. Why did he go to the D? And did he have his 7 bags or whatever he was carrying at that time to the D Hotel? Why would he walk across that stupid Fremont Street with 7 bags in tow? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Could he have flown? He found out, Hunter found out that there was an airport out there in Mesquite, and then there was an airport in North Las Vegas that handles smaller planes. So this high roller, could he have flown? We went through all that. Well, he could have been comped by the D. Maybe that's why, I think the guy that owns the D is named Derek. I can't remember his last name. But he's also the guy that owns the one just opened up the Grand or something like that. Could he have been comped by that guy? Did he spend a lot of money at that fucking place to get that kind of service where he was going to get flown into Vegas and then get a limo ride to, because that's why I did my last trip, man. I wanted to see what it was like. Okay, so here's what the limo ride's like. Here's how the hotel treats you when you spend a lot of money. I'm not the one who spends a lot of money, but, the people I go with are. This is bothering me. I'm sorry. I got to fix this. That didn't fix it. It's over here. But, so so there was that, how is it possible that, it took 48 minutes? Did he fly? So, Hunter went through, found every cell phone tower, found the last cell phone tower that could possibly have pinged that cell phone from the city of Mesquite. And then the first cell phone tower could have pinged it from Las Vegas, which doesn't really matter because we have cell phone footage. We're working off camera footage versus whatever nebulous idea they used to they used to find out that he was in Mesquite at the time he was there, or what time he left Mesquite rather. So he went and found the very last cell phone tower that's in the Mesquite area that would have told that he's in Mesquite, found the exact travel time from that tower to Las Vegas, trying to figure out, is it possible that he would have drove? Well, no, it's still, even from that cell phone tower, it's now no longer 115 miles an hour. He would have had to drive on average. It was 108 miles. He would have had to drive on average from that point to Vegas. But then you still have the problem. Well, he ended up at the fucking D. He ended up 48 minutes later or whatever the fuck it was at the D Hotel. This is the thing that he was working on. This is the very last thing that he was dealing with. And it was, but that's how meticulous the guy was. The guy would figure out where all the cell phone towers are, where all the airports are, how long he would take, how long the drive would take from his house to the airport, and what cell phone tower would have pinged his cell phone if he turned his cell phone off when he got on the plane, went into airplane mode or whatever the fuck, and how long that trip would have taken. And, to be honest, like, when I did my little flight over there, that's kind of what I was doing. That was kind of the idea behind a lot of that, was to figure out what, how it worked from my perspective. To go when you don't have to go into an airport, you have to go into a simple, room, and then they shovel you onto the airplane, and then you're, wheels up a couple minutes later, and then you end up in Vegas. What is that experience like? Do you have to deal with claiming your baggage, stuff like that when you get off the plane? How is, the walk through the airport, stuff like that. And I didn't fly into North Las Vegas. I flew into McCarran, which is a busier, place. But, to be honest, man, I mean, I got off that airplane and 10 minutes later, I was in a limo heading to the hotel. And then the limo trip to the hotel, that's why it didn't really matter to me. It was like 10 minutes. So you're in a fancy fucking car for 10 minutes. Who gives a shit? But that was kind of the reason I wanted to go on that trek, to a point and figure that out, for him. And because that's what we were working on, at the time. And, the whole check-in thing, the whole reason I have a problem with Paddock's check-in was also because of Hunter. That was another Hunter thing. He asked me when I went the first time, last year, he asked me if I could take pictures of the majority of what was in the footage that was given by the Mandalay Bay, the New York Times. And so that's what I did. I went and I basically just turned my camera on, put it in the front pocket, wore a shirt with a pocket on it, and walked around that whole fucking place, over and over and over again. And took video, took pictures of everything, I possibly could think of taking pictures of. I missed a couple things, which is why when I went back to the Mandalay Bay. And then as we're sitting there talking and we're sharing this stuff back and forth, and like I said, I made a couple of videos just for him, showed a lot of the actual video footage to him that I took while I was there, because a lot of it showed me, it showed the people I was with. Didn't want to fucking deal with that publicly, so I wasn't going to put that out public, a lot of it. I made a video that I put as much as I could out there, but there was a lot of it that I was not willing to share. And especially because names and shit like that were being said. And so, and I'm not like that. I ain't gonna do that. And so, as we're there, as I'm there doing all that, I'm taking pictures of everything. The one thing that was an actual issue that he caught was, where did he check in at? Took a picture of the VIP check-in, sent it to him, and he looked at it and said, I don't think that's the place. You got to find the right spot. That's not it. And because of that, that created this whole problem where, well, where the fuck did this guy check in at? I don't know. Still haven't figured it out. I don't think anyone's going to figure that out anytime soon. I don't know who's over there who's going to run around in Vegas. I mean, shit, man. We looked through every fucking hotel, man, and looked at all the footage of walkthroughs of all these hotels and check-in areas. I can't find it. But yeah, he was a good guy, man. He's a good fucking guy. And the guy is very meticulous in everything he did. I said the last thing that we were dealing with that we never really got all the way through, because he couldn't get off of the 115 mile an hour thing. Drive back, because that's what he was dealing with at the time. Yeah, we were talking about cell phones, all the cell phones that this guy had. All the cell phones Paddock had, we had 3 cell phones found in the room with the note that said, and I think this is what I left out of my my thing there. Yeah. Hunter was crazy. Hunter was meticulous. The one thing that destroyed him that he did not like is when somebody would basically shit on him, man. When people would trash him, he didn't understand that. He wasn't good at dealing with that. He wasn't good at dealing with the trolling and all that sort of stuff. He just did not like that. So, he was the kind of guy that, he would get one negative comment and it would drive him fucking nuts. And he would come back to me and start talking to me about it, ask me about it and stuff like that. I mean, the last one I know, there was some dude that left some stupid comment that, fuck, you guys figure out who it is, man. The guy talks in fucking riddles and shit. You can't understand what he says half the time. But, he left some fucked up comment, and we sat there for a couple days trying to figure out what the fuck is this guy even saying? What is this? and eventually he kind of figured it out, and then that became this thing in his head where he had to figure out, well, okay, is this guy even right? I mean, does he know what he's talking about? And like I said, that's what he would do. He would dwell on that. He would have an issue dwelling on, the negativity. He didn't like the negativity within all of this. That's why, he kind of disappeared for a while, and when a lot of the drama was going on, he would disappear and stuff like that. He didn't like all that. He's a better man than me, man, because fuck, I jumped head first in that shit. But so that was the kind of guy he was. But yeah, I think we were working on the cell phones, and there was an issue with the cell phones where, this guy had 3 cell phones with a note that said, turn cell phones off. And this came from his 115 miles an hour from Mesquite to Vegas, right? The trip that he did. And we're talking about how, well, what would happen if 2 of those phones were actually phones that he 2 of those phones were turned on. They were ones that he used. And the third one was not, right? Third one was a burner phone. That's kind of what it said in the report. And so what happens if, he used that burner phone, because most cell phones at this point don't have a battery that can be taken out, right? So if the battery's in there, the damn thing's tracking you. People, the government can track you. Everyone can track you. What happens when you decide that you don't want to be tracked, right? But you still want to have some form of communication on you. Could that be the reason that you have these 2 cell phones with numbers? And it also said in the report that the numbers were redirected to other phones. It didn't say that the phones have multiple numbers, because I don't believe that's actually a thing. I actually tried to do that once. They didn't like that. And that was for work. You actually have to redirect a number from one phone to another in order to have a phone, whatever. So in order to have service. So, we're trying to figure out, well, okay, so, he's got these 3 phones. It says power them down. At some point, why would you power a phone down? It doesn't fucking matter, man. That's not an issue, because you're still going to have battery life within that phone, because the damn thing was just plugged in. You're putting a note up saying to unplug the phones. That means they were plugged in at some point. That means you still have power. That means those phones are still going to be running. So, but what if there's no battery in the phone, right? If there's no battery in the phone will run when it's charged. At least some models will. We looked this up. We went through a bunch of these fucking phones. But some will still run. And then, so you have, I believe he had a Samsung phone, right? So Samsung, I don't think you take the batteries out of those. I don't remember. I don't remember if I found that particular model, whether that had a phone or not, or a battery or not, because this was something we were about to start working on. It's not something we really kind of went too far into, but this was one of those things that we talked about a little bit. Is it possible if this guy had these 2 phones and then he had the third phone? The third phone was the one that he would take the battery out of. That way he could carry a phone with him, so he could actually communicate with people. But at the same time, he could communicate with people when he wanted to communicate with people. And, and not be traced and tracked, unless he really cared, it was really okay with being traced and tracked at that moment. I mean, guy had to be paranoid, right? Wouldn't you, at this point, when some shit like this is going to go down. So, that was something we were dealing with towards the end there. He asked me to, he was the reason that I went into some of the emails. That was something we dealt with last year. The emails of Stephen Paddock. At one particular email that stuck out to me was Powerpuff 78 or 87 or 97 or some shit like that. And he was 97 or something, because it was when the show was actually going on that year. Actually, I think it was after the show had been canceled the year before. And so when did subscribe to some stupid site, that would track this shit down, and found out that exact email address is being used by some girl who lived around the corner from where uh, Paddock owned a residence, and the girl's in her 30s, I believe, right now. I believe at the time she was in her late 20s or something like that. But yeah, that led me down that rabbit hole. That led me down dealing with shit like that. This is the kind of stuff he would do. He would throw this idea out there, and I go, do what I could, and then he, like I said, he's more meticulous than I am. He would run it into the ground, but this was one of those things he didn't want to really deal with. He didn't like that. He didn't like getting on these sites and doing background check shit like that. I don't think that was his thing. So yeah, Powerpuff 97, whatever the fuck it is. I think that's what it is. It might be 98 or something like that. It doesn't really matter. But when you look up that email address, it leads to a girl's Facebook page. That girl, when you look up that girl lives, I forget, it's like Lancaster or some shit like that. I don't remember exactly. Might even be Hawthorne. But she lived in a residence right around the corner from where he owned some residences. And Paddock, talking about here. And so he owned so this girl owns this thing, which you would say, okay, well, email addresses get recycled. Somebody leaves an email address for a while. But why would a grown man have Powerpuff, whatever the fuck, as an email address? Now you can say it's ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, something like that. It's just interesting that an email address is worldwide. It's not something that's just done, with it. It's not like a phone number where, it's an area code. It doesn't work that way. So, to me, it was very coincidental that some girl that happened to live, right around the corner from a building that he used to own back in the day, that this girl now all of a sudden had control of that email address and used it to tagged it to her Facebook account. Yeah. Hunter was a good guy, man. When I first met that guy, man, shit. Yeah, we sat there and we sat there and this was in the middle of all the drama. This was when all the crazy shit was going on. This is everything was going fucking nuts. And we met at the we met out in Fremont Street area in Vegas. And Eddie was there, and I remember just arguing with the two guys, man. And they were sitting there just going off about how Shuck put the bracket up, man. They had this thing in their head that Shuck put the bracket up, and I remember when Hunter put that video out about that, and I told him, don't do it, just don't do it. Whatever you do, don't do that, man. You can't prove that. It's not even realistic. It doesn't work. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And he ended up doing it anyway, and he was kind of upset with some of the responses he got, and it was kind of, well, bro, I'm sorry, but I told you, man, it doesn't work. But I remember arguing with him about this, man. I was arguing with him about, that. And there was one other thing that I remember arguing about that I don't want to go into. But then we ended up at the California Hotel, man. We ended up at the California is, it's it's a lower rent hotel. It's not one of the fancy ones on the strip or anything. It's it's Hawaiian themed. And we ended up at the California, man, and his poor wife, man, she must have been bored to death. She must have been dying, because we sat there probably for 4 hours just smoking our cigarettes like crazy and just talking about Vegas, and after that, like I said, we came home, and that was I drove all the way out to Vegas just to meet the guy, because at that point within all this, shit, man, I mean, I was nobody, I mean, I'm still nobody, but in the grand scheme of all this bullshit, nobody knew who the fuck I was. You know, I was just some dude that started a channel because, you know, I explained this last time, because him and JB decided to quit, you know, and then Hunter kept going, you know, and JB actually did quit for the most part. Um, but you know, so Hunter, you know, when we met, or when we were talking, I believe it was in the comments of a video. I don't know if it was mine or his, or I don't even remember. But we're talking in the comments, man, and he said, you know, and I joked with him. I said, maybe I'll make the trip out there, man. I ain't that far. And he was saying, oh yeah, I really want to meet you. I really want to meet you. I'm thinking, who the fuck am I? Fuck you want to meet me for, man? You got like 1,500 subs on your channel. I got like fucking 180 or something like that. What do you care about me, dude? And I'm involved in this drama shit that you don't even fucking care for. You know, what the fuck do you care about that? And but he did, and you know, and so you know, I made the drive out there, man. It was a last minute thing too, man. I had to call work, say, hey, fuckers, I ain't coming in tonight. I'm fucking heading to Vegas. I'm halfway there. Have fun. And yeah, yeah, I ended up in Vegas, man, which is good. Like I said, you know, I ended up considering that guy a good friend, man. He's a good guy, man. He's a good guy. Um, and again, I don't know how people found out, you know, about this stuff. Um, you know, I'm guessing somebody spilled the beans, since you know, the group of us that knew him pretty well. The only problem was we didn't know his last name. He actually shared his last name with me one time in a video. Um, you know, he was explaining something about IDs and how they work and stuff like that. And you know, and I told him, I'm not going to remember that. I'm just going to forget about it. I'm not even going to look at it. I don't want to know what your last name is. I don't want to know any of that stuff, man, because the day that they come for you and they start doxing you and doing stupid shit like that, I don't want to be blamed. So no, I'm not going to fight. I don't need your information. I don't need any of that. You know, but then that caused a problem later, you know, causing a problem now, because, you know, we, we had a feeling that this was the case, you know, since he did drop on us that bombshell, that you know, he was sick, and that, you know, I mean, he went to the hospital and they told him they had 5 days or 5 hours left to live. Um, he was going down fast, and you know, and they did some, you know, crazy surgery and all that sort of stuff, and then you get an email saying that this all happened, and then you don't hear from the guy for, you know, I think at the point I went to Vegas, it was almost 2 weeks, you know. And like I said, it was a daily thing, man. So, you know, I figured, well, I hadn't heard from him for 2 weeks because of the hospital thing. It took him a while, you know. Well, yeah, it took, you know, it was 8 days before he actually emailed me about, you know, what he'd been through. Um, you know, and so you know, it'd been a while at that point. So I figured, you know, we still have hope, right? Still have hope, and that it wasn't true. That what we're, you know, that, you know, that maybe the reason he's not emailing us because he's got family and friends around, and he's actually, you know, because he's dealt with a lot this year. He did deal with a lot. You know, his mom passed on him. It's been a rough year for the guy, and you know, so, you know, we still had this glimmer of hope, and that's why we didn't actually, you know, nobody actually came out and said, oh, this is what's going on, because it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't our story to tell at that point. We didn't want to start rumors. We didn't want to start all the bullshit. We didn't want Hunter to come back to a bunch of videos saying R.I.P. Hunter and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm still here. Um, we didn't think that was a good idea. So you know, we just kind of kept it quiet. But we kind of knew something was up, that this was definitely a possibility. But like I said, he was a good guy, man. You know, it's sad to lose him. The But he was very meticulous. He was good. You know, he would find things that, and I wish I could even remember. I'm gonna have to go back to some videos and see what I can dig up, man. Because the guy would come out with some bombshells. all of a sudden he'd say, "Look at this. What do you think about this?" And it's, holy shit, I don't remember that. Like, that's crazy. Um, his big thing, I mean, I'll be, I'll tell you straight up. He has a big problem with, uh, there's a statement by a girl, and I believe her name's Joanna. And there was a statement by a girl named Joanna that said she saw Paddock, and I believe it was on the first, if I remember right. I don't even fucking remember. But this is something that ate at him the whole fucking time. This is something he can never explain, he can never figure out. There's a girl named Joanna that supposedly worked, I believe it said, the essential store in the Luxor. And she said she saw him, and I believe it was on the first, if I remember right. I could have the dates wrong, but I believe it was on the first. And, according to the door logs, which are real strange on those days, it wasn't really possible. It wasn't possible that you had Paddock in the room at the same time as being in this store. The way the door logs made it look like he was actually in the room at that time, or within a couple minutes of that. Well, no, he didn't go speak with her. Someone else did. But yeah, Eddie did. But I'm gonna say this, man, and not to shit on Eddie. I'm sorry, but if I don't see it for myself, I don't see any, information on myself, I'm not gonna believe it. I don't. Yeah. See, this was something that really bothered him. Bothered him all the way to the end. The thing with Joanna and that whole ordeal there is, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the reason it doesn't make any sense is because you have an essential store at the bottom of the elevators in the Mandalay Bay. So literally, as soon as you get out of that elevator bank, you're looking at a store called the Essential Store. If you look on a map right now and you try to find the Essential Store in Luxor, it doesn't exist. As of last year, there isn't an Essential Store. There's not a store called an Essential Store in the Luxor. So there's an issue there. So was it an Essential Store in the Luxor, or was it the one in Mandalay Bay? Because the one in Mandalay Bay, that makes a huge fucking difference. Because the one in Mandalay Bay, it's an elevator trip down to the bottom. It's maybe 2 minutes, 4 minutes to get down there and to get back up. It's not very, very fucking long. In fact, I bought cigarettes at that Essential Store when I was there. That's why I know it's there. So there's an Essential Store down there at the bottom of the elevator bank in the Mandalay Bay. As far as I know, there's not one. You can look it up yourself. It ain't that fucking difficult, man. You look up Essential Stores in Las Vegas, zoom in, look at the fucking Luxor. You ain't gonna find one there. You're gonna find one right next door in the Mandalay Bay. Actually, I think there might be two in there. If I remember right, there's two in there. But that didn't fucking matter. I mean, to me, it's just there's one right down the fucking at the bottom of the fucking stair, or the elevator bank there. So I mean, so the eyeglass repair kits, he bought some eyeglass repair kits at the Essential Store. This lady claims that she saw them in the Essential Store, but then this lady's claiming that she worked at the Essential Store in the Luxor. But according to what I've found, I mean, and of course, I'm looking at this years later. So was there an Essential Store in the Luxor at the time of the shooting? That I don't know. I can't say that one way or the other. And this Joanna chick, could she have saw the wrong person? Could it have been someone else? I mean, you walk through one of those casinos, man, there's a million people that look like that, man, have that, balding hairdo and shit like that, old white dude. It's impossible she saw someone else and just mistook them. I mean, I don't know. So that's one of those things that, you need more information. You got to have more information on that. We ain't never going to track that chick down or find her or something like that, whatever. I think, I think there was someone that I was talking to that did some, a little bit of research on that person. And there's a little bit more to that story, I believe, than just this lady who supposedly worked in the essential store. But again, like I said, that was a screwball thing, and I kept telling them, you're not going to get anywhere with this because you don't have, there's nowhere to go with this. Yeah, again, that's not my information to tell, but I've talked to people about that. We did talk about this Joanna thing, God, a lot. Oh my God. It's like the crack in the door, man. That was that was Hunter's crack in the door, man, Joanna. Holy shit, man. I heard a lot about Joanna, but there was a little bit more to that story from what I understand, but again, it's not my story to tell, and I butcher it anyway. I don't even remember the exacts on it, man, because when I talked to people about that, that was just that was a side thing that we were talking about. It wasn't even really, the gist of it all. But yeah, Joanna, that's, I mean, personally to me, it's with something like that, you're taking one statement, and I've told them this, man, you're taking one statement from one person and you're throwing out other evidence to make it work, and you're fitting it in. So you can't do that unless you have more information. You got to have more information than just this statement, this one statement, because we're willing, a lot of us at least are willing to throw out statements. I mean, we're willing to throw out some of this evidence completely, and even for something like that, you're willing to throw out the door logs, or you're willing to throw into it that there's multiple people involved within this for that to make sense. So you're willing to throw out other evidence to make this other evidence work. That's hard. That's a hard thing to do unless you actually have evidence to support that, which there is none. All there is this one lady's statement. And there's other statements out there that make no sense. The guy from Backpage that met him over at the Bass Pro Shop, the early statements that we got, everybody threw that out as false. Fuck him. You don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Which was weird, yeah. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the comments here real quick. Yeah, I know all. I mean, I'm not supposed to know about it, but I know about the story with Fash. I know what happened there. But that's not my story to tell. It's not, and I'm not gonna. What's between them is between them. That's fine. I didn't even want him to tell me in the first place. No. Yeah, Fash, yeah, whatever. I don't want to talk about Fash, man. That was she's a character. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, it broke the narrative. If he could prove that Joanna was a thing, and that was always Hunter's thing, was he believed wholeheartedly that there were multiple people involved in this in some form or another. Not necessarily that there were multiple people shooting at people. He believed that there were people that knew what was going on, that knew what had happened. They had some information out there. That was his thing. And he was always, trying to, prove that, because he believed that, and I believe that as well. I mean, it's this guy pulled this stuff off, and for him to pull this off, there were a lot of there were a lot of problems with the door logs that indicated that, yeah, there was possibly someone else there, or this guy just acts extremely erratic and does some really weird stuff. Um, but, he's got multiple rooms, not just the Mandalay Bay, but at the Ogden. It was very strange. He would look up, he was looking up the museums and stuff like that. I don't, according to the reports, he never visited. Why are you looking up these? And then, the Child Court Service Center, he looked that up. And why would you look that up? Because you don't have kids? That doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of weird stuff that, that wouldn't pertain to him, right? The Child Court Service Center, he had no reason being in there. He had no purpose being in there whatsoever. So what's the point of that? The child courts, the museum, the children's museum, he looked that up twice. He looked it up once while he had the room at the Ogden. I think might have been on 25th or whatever. And they looked it up again. And I believe the second time was on 28th. So why would you look something up a second time? Unless you just opened your browser and it just happened to be there and it pinged a second time and there you go. That was the last thing you searched for, and bang, there it is again. Now it pings on the server. Now all of a sudden you looked it up a second time. Maybe that's a possibility, and that's something that we kind of were talking about. But but why? The Children's Museum, the Child Court Service Center, Cashman Field. What's going on? Now, Cashman Field, that was explained to me that there was there's a convention center next to Cashman Field, and I forget what it was called, and I don't think it's there anymore. I think the field's still there, but the convention center is something else. Now, the convention center had a gun show, I believe, like the month before or something like that. And from somebody that I talked to said that they could actually point or peg him as actually being at that gun show. So that's somebody else's information though. So that's up to them if they want to release that and deal with that. Yeah, well, the way Hunter worked, right? He didn't come up with conspiracies. He did. Okay, so he did to a point. He would have these ideas, and what he would do is he would take those ideas towards the end there, after we met and after we became friends and started going back and forth, doing videos back and forth, stuff like that. Like I said, I still have, like, I think he used to delete them after a certain amount of time, but I think I still have like last 2 or 3 videos that he sent me. But he would come up with something in his head, and he would ask me. He would say, what do you think about this? What do you think about this idea? Do you think this is a possibility, that this could have been what happened? And when he would do that, he'd send me a video and or an email or something like that, and we start going back and forth with it. We start dissecting it and tearing it apart. And a lot of times, things ended up just not panning out. He always asked me, because I would, I'm not a narrative, this fucking narrative bullshit. It's just, like I said, somebody described me as pragmatic at one point. I'm just a guy who tries to figure things out rationally, and tries to figure out, this somehow has to make sense. Everything has to make sense. We don't live in fucking fantasy land here. So how can I make this make sense, with the information that we have? And so we would just dissect things, and we tear it into the fucking ground. And a lot of times they didn't go anywhere. Most of the time didn't go anywhere. Like I said, I argued with him. The one that he was very stubborn on was the Shuck putting the bracket in the door. And I know eventually he gave up on that. But, when we were talking about that was before, that was right after I met him. So at that point, we weren't really, close. And he wasn't really paying too much attention. But I think that was the point where he started actually kind of listening a little bit. to what I was trying to tell him, because, basically what I was saying was, look, man, I'm not trying to screw your theories up. I'm not trying to fuck with you. I'm just telling you what makes sense and what doesn't make sense within my head. And if it doesn't make sense in my head, these are the questions you're going to, and I used to tell them this in videos. These are the questions that people are going to ask you, and you're going to have to answer this. So, if you're going to talk about Shuck putting the bracket in the door, or putting that bracket up on the door, why did he put it up on that side? Why didn't he just come up the stairwell? It's a lot safer that way. These are the kind of questions that people are going to ask. Where were his tools, right? He has a screwdriver in his pocket. That doesn't mean shit, dude. You don't put a bracket up with a screwdriver. You don't take a bracket down with a screwdriver. That's not what that was for. So there is an issue with the Shuck story. And I've always had issues with the Shuck story, but this dumbass was walking down the fucking hallway with the screwdriver in his pocket. What was he going to do with that, man? There's a bracket in the fucking door. What are you going to do with that? Well, you think it's a door stop or something? You're going to pry that fucker out? I mean, what were you thinking? But, I would tell him, when you go off on something that, I felt was hitting conspiracy territory, I would say straight up, I'd say, look, bro, these are the questions people are going to ask you. This is where you're going to have fucking problems. Because if I'm thinking of this shit, chances are somebody else out there is thinking of this shit, And I'm just me, man. There's shit that I'm not even going to think about that other people are going to come up with. So these are just the simple ones. Well, whatever it was, man, I don't, if it was going to fit in that pocket, it was not going to take that bracket down. I don't think you're going to pull out bolts with anything you're going to stick in your pocket. I just don't see that as being a thing. And I think it was like a little screwdriver or some shit like that. It might have been one of those little electric screwdrivers, most likely. But even then, what are you going to do with that? What was the point in that? Why did you even bring that up there? It's stupid. Shuck. That's a whole fucking can of worms, man. I explained last time, man. I've issued with Shuck just because Shuck came into the storyline when everyone was claiming multiple shooters because of the Corey Langdon video, and that was mainly according to Joe that was hitting on that back in the day. And all of a sudden we got Shuck, and Shuck explained why some of the gun sounds sounded further than the other ones because they're being shot in the room as opposed to being shot out the window. And that's the narrative that we've been given at that point. But up until then, it was still the whole community was still based on conspiracies because we didn't have the information that we have now. So that was that. And yeah, that's the way it worked, man. With me and him, we just went back and forth. And so, you would, the 115 mile an hour thing, right? That was the last one that I can remember going through. And, when that was happening, and he decided, I didn't even know he was going to do a video. He didn't even tell me he's going to do that video, man. I think he just randomly, decided one day, fuck it, it's time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put that out there. He had a lot of ideas that he didn't put out there. A lot of ideas I don't even think he told me. I think there's other people that have some more information than I do, because he had a little group of people that he would do this with. And, and so with that 115 miles an hour, man, we went back and forth, okay, so how do you think they know he was in Mesquite? What were the police using to say he was in Mesquite? Plus, anything written on that timeline is broken, right? The timeline itself is broken. It's completely screwed up. It's always been screwed up. And, you could poke holes all through that freaking timeline, the actual fucking timeline, not the rest of the evidence there, but the actual fucking timeline. You poke holes all through it, man. It's a fucking mess. It's a disaster. Like I explained last time, the Capo stuff is just a mess. It's a mess, dude. They took his statement and they basically threw it in the trash and they wrote something. Doesn't make sense. A lot of the stuff in there doesn't make sense. He gambled throughout the night on a night when he apparently changed fucking clothes somehow. And there were, activity in the door log. So somebody was up in the room, I believe, for an hour and a half that fucking night. But we have footage of him wearing different clothes throughout that fucking night. So what does that fucking tell you? That timeline is fucked up, and so there's always been issues with that timeline. That timeline's just screwball. So anything written on the timeline, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you actually have to do your own work to actually make it work. So that was a problem with stuff like that. So we're dealing with this. We're dealing with this guy coming to the leaving Mesquite at a certain time within the timeline. Now you got a broken ass fucking timeline. Is that timeline a fucking problem? How did they figure out that he was in Mesquite? How did they fucking know? Well, it says the day before that he was in Mesquite from this time to this time, according to cell phone records, right? But they don't say according to cell phone records he was in Mesquite at the time he left Mesquite, because that's a whole different fucking paragraph within that. And and then you have a time frame there where it says he was in Mesquite from this time to this time. And this is something Hunter pointed out. You had him in Mesquite from this time to this time, but then later they say, well, he left Mesquite at this fucking time. So where was he within that gap? Now you can look this up yourself. It's something you have to, research yourself, because, I didn't feel like doing it before I came on here, but, yeah, he was working with Richard on a lot of stuff. Yeah, he definitely worked with Richard a lot. Richard was another one that, the emails were going through. I'm sorry. You got me kind of interested here. Just of this, and this news is so sad. Oh yeah. There's chatter in other places that Vegas was anti-FBI op, but questions planned or just taken advantage of, and Paddock was target. I don't know exactly where you're going with that. I don't. I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know specifics on that, to be honest with you. But yeah, so like, the way it would work is, like I said, you had this 115 miles an hour trip. Now, the way I see things, the way I deal with this stuff is, you have a gap on that day within, they're basically saying he wasn't in Mesquite, but they're not saying it. They're saying that he was in Mesquite to this time, to this time. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know where you heard that, so I can't really comment on that. But so they were saying that he was in Mesquite from this time to this time, but then they were saying he left Mesquite at a different time. So where was he in the interim within that? I forget how many hours there were between that. So that was something we were going through. It's where was he? Where was he actually in Mesquite? Why didn't they say he was in Mesquite? Why did they just say he was in Mesquite from this time to this time? Then he ended up in the D at this fucking time. It's weird the way the final the actual timeline is written. The timeline is just it's a fucking mess. So they didn't do us any favors with that stupid ass timeline. And then although a lot of the timeline will be correct, it's got to be. Some of it. Some of those days are pretty benign. And so I'm guessing, a lot of it's probably accurate to a point. But, a lot of it is obviously not. And that's a fucking problem. But as he's driving, he drove supposedly from Mesquite to the D. Now, why did he go to the D? What is the point in that? But anyways, he's driving. Supposedly he drove, and it says, I believe in the report, he drove from Mesquite to back to Vegas. And I think in the report it says he drove to the Ogden. But then if you look at it, they have a statement saying that they got footage of him in the fucking D hotel. And like I said, this is mostly his work, so it's not necessarily what I was dealing with to a point. I was just commenting on what he was sending me. And so, you would sit there and you look at, he left Mesquite. How do we know he left Mesquite? How do we know he was even in Mesquite? Okay, so we have cell phone records from the night before, but we don't have cell phone records from that day. I mean, that's not what they're saying. It's possible that that's what's implied. you know, and that was the problem is that he was, you know, he would argue with me that that's what's implied. And I'd say, well, it's implied, but it doesn't mean that that's the case. You know, because nothing in this has been black and white so far as this all goes. You know, the narrative is a fucking wreck. It's a mess. And even if it's, you know, somewhat correct and in general, it's all correct, you know, that this guy went up and planned this out and decided to start shooting people that night and actually did shoot people that night and shot himself in the mouth. And it's all fucking correct. That's fine. But the problem is they haven't given us that. That is not what the timeline is so broken that it doesn't make a lot of sense in a lot of parts. You know, otherwise, you know, if it did, you know, the only thing that you'd have left within this whole Vegas bullshit community that we fucked up is you would have conspiracy theorists. And that's it. That's all we would have left. You know, people like me wouldn't have to do videos because that's all you have left. You have conspiracy theorists, and then you have the occasional asshole that would decide just to fuck with them. You know, and that's what would be left. And but we don't have that, and we don't have that because we have issues. Like even people like me who try to be, you know, rational with everything, you know, still have issues with what the fuck is going on. Now you have the completely fucking irrational fucking people that are going to say, "Oh, the narrative." Go fuck yourself. The fucking then you got the people that are crazy conspiracy saying crisis actors, blah blah blah, all this bullshit. Go fuck yourself. That's stupid. That's all fucking dumb. You know, and sorry, I get a little fucking heated with that, but that's fucking dumb. All that stuff is stupid. But you know, in the reality of the situation, you have a guy that drove from Mesquite 115 fucking miles an hour. Well, you know, he found the cell phone towers. Hunter did this fucking work. He found cell phone towers. Now there's a cell phone tower that's far enough to where now we can narrow that down from 115 miles an hour to 108 miles an hour. Yeah, dude, this fucking old man is going to drive with 108 miles an hour with a bunch of fucking guns in the back of his car, probably paranoid as fuck because he knows what he's about to fucking do. And he's going to risk getting pulled over on this stupid fucking highway and driving 108 miles an hour in a Chrysler fucking Pacifica that maxes out at 115 miles an hour. Yeah, that makes total fucking sense. So yeah. So, you know, when the narrative assholes come from you, yeah, fuck yourself. So yeah, that doesn't make a lot of fucking sense. You know, especially once you get into the city, you're no longer going 108 miles an hour down the streets of fucking Vegas. You're going 40, 60, you know, maybe if you're hauling ass 60, I would think, you know, maybe you could hit 80 on a couple of streets, especially if it's not busy, but I doubt it. So that's an issue. So now, you know, so we got this 108 miles an hour. How the fuck did this happen? Now, you know, you go back into it and you dissect it and you say, well, how do they know he was there? How do they know he was there? Well, they were using cell phone records the night before, but they didn't say that day. So how do they fucking know he was there? With streetlight cameras, shit like that? I mean, did he get on the plane at that time? I mean, hey man, there's one that I didn't even think about. You know, did the airline call and say, yeah, we got this guy jumping on this plane at this fucking time, you know, flying over to the fucking, but then why did they say he drove from Mesquite to Vegas? You know, then we have that issue. We have that fucking problem. We have all kinds of fucking problems. Any way you turn on this, it doesn't make sense, you know, and that was one of those things that, you know, he hit on. He figured this out. He found this, right? This is the proof that there's still stuff out there that people don't fucking know, you know, that there's still evidence possibly out there that somebody hasn't read or hasn't fucking dealt with, because Hunter's still finding this shit 3 years later. You know, it's not me. I didn't find it. That wasn't my thing. That was his thing. You know, he's the one that found this shit. You know, he was just asking the questions. Why? Well, how does this make sense? How do you make sense of it? I can't make sense of it. You know, I can't make sense of it at all. You know, but you look into it and you say, you know, well, how did they know he was in Vegas, or how did they know he was in Mesquite? Was it cell phone records? Was it something else? Well, if it was something else, what was it? Was it the, like I said, traffic cams? Was that a possibility? Traffic cams? Him OnStar in his car, some stupid shit like that. I mean, is there some other way of tracing a human being in Mesquite? You know, and then you know, not getting back a hold of them until you hit Vegas, because in Vegas, then we have the cameras, and the cameras, you know, at the D say that he was in the D at that point. Well, what happened to all the fucking luggage that he had? What did he do with all that shit? You know, did he park his car over there at the D, leave the luggage in the car? But I think they have him walking into the Ogden. I don't know. I'd have to look this stuff up again. Like I said, to me, it was just, you know, I take the lazy approach sometimes. I just say, okay, how about this? Now answer it. Now he would, you know, he would come back with the details on, you know, well, this many bags, this many, you know, this time he ended up at the Ogden. I believe what it was he went to the D, and I believe he ended up at the Ogden 7 minutes later, which makes sense. That's a possible walk from those two hotels. In fact, that's very possible. You know, from the time that he walks into the D, if he walked straight through the hotel, walked across Fremont Street to the Ogden, yeah, 7 minutes is a total possibility. That's realistic. That even makes sense, right? Because everything, you know, one of the big issues that we used to argue about a lot, and you know, there's an argument I have with a lot of people, is people say, well, it's close, it's tight. That's a tight fucking time frame. Well, it has to be, because that's how it works. People, that's how people work. You know, you're gonna, if you have a fucking, you know, mission or an objective, you know, you're gonna walk straight from line A to line B. There ain't gonna be no 15 minutes here and there, because then you're gonna ask, well, what happened to those 15 minutes? That don't make sense. You know, it should have taken you 7 minutes to walk there. Why 15? What did you do in that time? No, it's going to be exact, man. The guy walked from here to there, and it took 7 minutes, and that is what it is. Yeah, he definitely, you know, and that was kind of how we we dealt with things. That's how we argued things back and forth, and that's what we dealt what we were doing. And like I said, the only one I can remember right now. I mean, there was a lot going on with door logs and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like dealing with a lot of that. The door logs are very confusing. They're very hard to figure out sometimes. You know, deadbolts being latched, but then never being unlatched, and the door being, oh, just stupid shit happening within those door logs. Um, you know, and a guy swiping a card 15 million times. It's just, there's a lot of weird stuff within that door logs that, in the early days, I went through them. I started going through them, and I actually got a couple things wrong, and I started getting frustrated because, uh, you know, dealing with door logs is really tough. That's one of the hardest things to fucking deal with. And you know, Hunter had this thing where he loved spreadsheets, loved his spreadsheets, loved those things. It used to drive me fucking nuts, man. And because spreadsheets to me are Chinese, man. I don't work in an office. I never did. Um, you know, I'm a labor kind of guy, so I don't do that sort of thing. So the spreadsheets used to drive me fucking berserk, and they still do. But used to get these spreadsheets, and that's how he would make sense of it all. But you know, to me, I would sit there and, you know, I'd go through the door logs on one of the days. Um, you know, let's say the 28th or something like that. Well, you had to go back, you had to look at all the statements, you had to look at the footage, you had to look at the timeline. You had to try and figure out, okay, well, it says he was here at this time, so do the door logs match? And you go through the door logs, you write up a timeline. It looks like someone left here, somebody came back here, somebody was not in the room here. You know, when he was in the room, where he was in the room. But then you end up with the two doors. You end up with 129, 128. So now you got to cross-reference those and figure out, when did the guy leave, when did he come back, when, you know, with deadbolts being closed and all that fucking minutia in the middle, like key cards being swiped, stuff like that. It gets really crazy confusing, and he was dealing with a lot of that. He dealt with a lot of that, and he would send me these spreadsheets of stuff, asking questions. It's like, Jesus, man, you know, I'd straight up tell him, dude, I'll get back with you in that in a week. But until then, let's talk about something stupid. The vibrators, man. We went back and forth with the vibrators for a while. Why the vibrators, bro? Why the vibrators? What the fuck? You know, why? What is that about? I mean, that's just, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm losing it. That's one of those things. It's like, what the fuck? I mean, seriously, what the fucking serious fuck is going on with those vibrators? That that's crazy. That's fucking insane. I mean, we argued about that shit for a while. Like, you know, was he using it on himself? I mean, you know, was this guy, like, you know, plugging in those vibrators and sitting down in a chair, putting them behind his back, and you know, doing that? You know, I mean, was that happening? Were there hookers? I mean, you know, we went off about the hooker supposedly over there in I don't know where she's at now, dude. She used to live in LA. I think she's in another country or some bullshit now. We went off about that. Vibrators though, man. I mean, I said this last time, dude. Girls bring their own tools. I would think. I would think they'd just fucking walk in, let some creepy ass fucking dude pull out something like that. Nah, dude, that's weird. I mean, that's not right. That's not right. Yeah. So door locks, man. Um, Before I start getting off a tangent on the fucking vibrators, man. Um, yeah, the vibrators don't make sense. The vibrators are fucked up. But the door locks, think about door locks, man. We argued this for a while too. A lot of us argued this for a while. The door locks, um, it's hard to disprove them. It's very hard to disprove the door locks. You could sit here and say, I know a lot of people sat here and said the door logs are bullshit and stuff like that. There were people that were doing that for a while, and there are problems within the door logs. There's actually an instance that Hunter found where the deadbolt was retracted, but it was never actually, there was no log of the deadbolt being, plugged in or whatever you call it, latched. Oh, see, Lewis, yeah, the vibrators. I mean, if they're Mary Lou Danley's toys, where was Mary Lou Danley? We have nothing saying Mary Lou Danley was there. So I'm sorry, man, it doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work with what we have. I mean, unless she was there. I mean, but dude, she had two of them, dude. How crazy is this broad, man? How crazy is she? I'm sorry, I got someone outside. Um, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? This she had two vibrators, man, not just one, two. I mean, just burn one out. What the fuck? That's crazy. Those things were in that they were being plugged in and charged. I mean, I, it's weird, man. And my knowledge on fucking vibrators, to be honest with you, is very limited. It's very limited. Um, obviously. But so when we're talking about those fucking things, I don't know. Maybe a girl can tell me in this thing, and I mean, I know you're probably not going to want to admit to this, um, obviously. But do those things even have a battery in them? I mean, are they just straight plug-in? I mean, do you plug those things in and they fucking run their little Yamaha motor inside those things, or are those things actually do those things actually have a battery? They have any battery life? Because if they're straight plug-in and they don't have a battery, well, they were plugged in a certain area where there's really only an orange chair within shooting distance, man. I mean, it's a bad term, but it's the only one I can think of offhand. It's fucking crazy to think about. That's crazy to fucking think about. Um, oh, okay. Well, if no, but what I'm saying is these, from what everyone thinks that these things, they think that they're magic wands, um, which I guess is the most popular. And I forget, I think they are actually made by like Yamaha or some shit like that, which is kind of crazy. Um, it's kind of entertaining to think about. Um, but it's fucking weird, man. It's fucking weird. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, like I said, my knowledge on vibrators is very limited, and going into that, and I'm not willing to do the research on that. I'm sorry, that's not my thing. Um, the I just don't care. So you have me before I got forget. So the thing with okay, so um, you talk about door locks now. One thing I'm going to say about the door locks. Um, that's going on there. The door logs are very hard to disprove. They're very hard to disprove, those door logs, because a lot of people like to say that, well, the door logs don't work, and there are issues within the door logs, and one of them is the hunter found this, and he never actually put it out. I don't think this was ever put out, but there is an instance. I don't even know which date it was. I'd have to go back and look. But there is an instance where the deadbolt was retracted, but it was never actually. I believe that was the thing, is deadbolt was retracted, but the deadbolt was never latched in the first place. So that's a problem. That's tough to now. Computer glitches, stuff like that. Servers freezing up or something of that nature. I mean, they could explain a little bit of that. The inaccuracy there, some sort of data loss on that could explain some of that. But the door logs are hard to the door logs are hard to discount, because they don't fit with the narrative. They don't fit with the narrative that we've been given. They actually contradict the narrative that we've been given. So something's got to be right there, right? Now, why would the police just throw this shit out in your face and fake it all when they had their own narrative? So the police was sitting here saying, let's say on the night where he gambled throughout the night, let's say that's the easiest one for me to point out. He gambled throughout the night, right? And all of a sudden you have these door logs saying that no, somebody was up in the room from for an hour and a half that night. And the guy did change his shirts, right? So I believe the door logs over your stupid, timeline that has problems. So it's the police, for the police to actually alter these door logs and edit them. Why would they fuck up their own timeline? Why would they destroy their own timeline? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Why they would do something like that. So to me, the door logs are probably one of the more accurate things that we have here as far as all that stuff goes. I've always believed that the door logs are probably completely accurate. If you were going to create your own door logs, you're going to alter this stuff out. I mean, you would take out half of the interactions there, especially the one that, was Hunter's, claim to fame, which was the, I believe it's 9:33, the night of the first, the whole credit card fucking scandal and the door bullshit that people were saying. The second person possibly being in the room, somebody opening up the door while somebody is swiping the card outside, opening up the door from the inside while somebody's swiping the door key from the outside, right? So, with no deadbolt attached, right? So you can't use that excuse that, oh, they had the deadbolt done, he was doing the deadbolt trick and all that bullshit. Why would you leave that in? If you're going to falsify this entire report, why would you leave that in? Because that totally contradicts everything the rest of your stuff. So to me, the door logs seem like they're actually legitimate as far as that goes. I actually I believe in the door logs over the timeline, because the timeline is just a fucking wreck. Yeah. Yeah. Good old Hunter, man. Sorry, starting to lose it here, man. I'm trying to keep it together. Vibrators relief. Wow, that's an interesting theory. I like that. I like your thought process there, man. I never heard that one before. But you do realize he wasn't playing slot machines. He was playing poker, and poker is not. You're not pulling those levers. Now I know that probably looks fucked up, but you're not pulling those fucking levers, man. It's not the one-armed bandit kind of machines. It's the fucking. It's a button. It's buttons. You just press the fucking buttons. That's the way that works. So, but 2 vibrators? 2? What the fuck was this guy doing? The fuck was going on in that room? Man, I mean, I'm sorry, dude. I just picture fucking Roman fucking orgies and shit, but what the fuck was this guy doing in that room? Yeah. Like I said, it's easier for me to hold it together when when talking about Vegas, than it is to talk about the man personally. It's tough, dude. It's tough. That's it's tough, man. We're I said not a lot of people I consider friends within all of this. I mean, let's be honest, we're all kind of strangers within all this. Um, yeah, he was a friend, dude. Uh, shit, there I go again. Oh man. Whew. Okay. Calm myself down. Uh, yeah, so I don't know, two vibrators. Oh shit. It's gotta be an easier way to do that, man. Um, gotta be an easier way to do that. I mean, pressing buttons for 10 hours, dude. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. That's a hard one. That's, and no pun intended with that. But man, that's tough. That's a tough thing to to wrap my head around to make. I can't picture this old man sitting in there with a couple of Hitachi. That's who makes those things. Uh, well, supposedly, from what everyone thinks they are. Um, guy sitting up there with a couple of Hitachis, man, fucking buzzing his arm. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know about that. I just I don't want to picture it, but I can't picture it either. It don't make a lot of sense to me. Uh, but then again, I mean, they're plugged in right next to an orange chair that I think would be the most comfortable chair in that place. Those damn bathtub chairs sure don't look comfortable to me. Uh, man. Well, yeah, but okay, so oh, vibrator talk, man. Vibrator talk. Uh, using a vibrator on a man, I don't think has the same effect as it does a woman. I mean, we are. I mean, I know this whole year has been this weird gender fucking thing. Everyone's confused and shit, but um, yeah, dude, men work differently than women, dude. I don't care what they say in the fucking media, dude. Men are that's different. That's strange. Um, if you're talking about like sexually, that's nah, that's weird, dude. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't, I mean, I go into all kinds of fucked up analogies and get really sick and twisted with that shit, but no, dude, I don't know, man. Fucking putting a couple of Hitachis against a hot dog, I don't think that has the same effect. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Well, why wouldn't he say? Okay, so the oh, it's turned into a Vegas stream. Um, sorry, I got to get my shit together. Another theory: the unplug the phone so could have meant unplug vibrators. Wouldn't you be apprehensive about writing down unplugged vibrators on a notepad? Why? No one's gonna see it. I mean, well, I guess after what happened, everyone's gonna see it. But why do you care? You're gonna be dead. You're gonna be gone, dude. We're talking about if Paxton blows brains out, uh, he had to know he wasn't getting out of that room alive. I mean, it's a long fucking hallway to run down, dude. And you bracketed the only other escape that you have. Um, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't see that. Who cares? Who cares? When you're gone, I mean, I don't think he gave a shit when he was dead, what he was going to look like. I mean, obviously, he ain't going to look good. I mean, you could have just put unplugged, not even phones, vibrators, whatever the fuck. That's I don't know about that, dude. I don't see that as being a thing. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the vibrators could be used. That's something that we went back and forth on. Me and Hunter were going back and forth on that for a while with the vibrators, man, because that drove us fucking nuts, dude. It's like, what the fuck is this about? And I think that was when that girl came out saying that she had sex with them, and she was in I forget, the Daily Mail or some shit like that. We were going off about that. That was something that we were going back and forth on. It's like, well, he had vibrators in the room. I mean, maybe he was planning something. Maybe there was something going on there. But I would think the girls would bring their own tools, man, to the party. I don't know about that. Yeah, they are officially muscle massage. I do realize that. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, or personal massagers, I guess they call them too. I mean, calling them other things would probably not go so well. Probably have issues marketing. Um, and like I said, that was something we were talking about, man. What if you just put those things in the back of that chair and then just leaned into the chair and and got the vibrations going? But it's possible. It's possible, I guess. I mean, you know, uh, if we want to talk about him not having anybody else in there and thinking that he was some sort of Puritan that did not have prostitutes, I mean, I guess, but that's crazy. That's just those vibrators, man. Fuck, dude. That's so much weird shit with this, man. This guy was a weirdo. I mean, there was just some weird stuff going on here, man. And that's not even talking about the snorkel and all that bullshit. That's fuck. Let's see. Cop knew the difference between a massager and a vibrator. Well, I mean, yeah, we call massagers vibrators. That's what we do. I mean, we're fucking dudes, man. I mean, we're not gonna, I'm not gonna sit here and call something like that a massager. I'm gonna call it a vibrator. That's just what it is. Um, well, okay, so like the note, right? If he, okay, so Okay, so here's the deal. If he wrote a note saying unplug phones, thinking that he was talking about vibrators and he was embarrassed because that note was going to be found, then what, the maids? I mean, he wasn't letting the maids in the room. Nobody's going to see that note. If he was going to live through this, he would have had time to actually get rid of that note to throw it in the trash, burn it, whatever the fuck he was going to do. He would have had the opportunity to do that. But if he was going to die, then somebody was going to find that note. Um, so the implication there is that if he was actually embarrassed about writing vibrators on a piece of paper, then he was going to die. Somebody's going to find that note. If nobody was going to find that note, he was going to have the time to actually, if he was not going to die, then he was going to have time to get rid of that note, right? So he wouldn't have had to even write it, as far as that goes. And it's always strange to me that this dude was, if his memory was that far gone, that he had to leave himself a note saying to unplug things. Uh, that's weird. That's strange, man. Um, if he was this smart and this bright and brilliant and all this bullshit, but he couldn't remember to unplug the damn cell phones for whatever fuck reason he was going to unplug them for. I mean, why are you unplugging cell phone? Who cares? Who gives a shit? But like I said, unless one of those phones didn't have a battery, maybe the other two were. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, what you could have done, and this is, like I said, this is something that we were going back and forth with towards the end here, me and Hunter, and I even went back and forth with some other people I'm not going to mention, but um, as far as the cell phones go, the other two phones could have been dead, maybe had no fucking charge whatsoever. They were just done, right? Because it can't be tracked. They can't run a GPS on a phone, as far as I know, without power. Because I don't think there is an actual, backup power in any of these phones at this fucking point. I mean, I'm sure that's coming someday with Big Brother bullshit. But the, at this point, without power, they're pretty much useless. They're a brick. Um, but he could have had the one phone plugged in. I mean, he could have had the phone without the battery plugged in. Maybe he had multiple phones without batteries in them. I don't fucking know. And he could have had them plugged in. That way they would answer, within the room when people would call, whatever. Um, so that way the phones were active. They just didn't have the battery in them. And whenever he unplugged them, all of a sudden, boom, Patty goes dark. There is no cell phone records of where he's been, where he's at, all that sort of bullshit, with the Edward Snowden stuff and supposedly the NSA being able to spy on everything, even turn your cameras on. There still has to be power behind that phone in order for that to happen. What's up, man? Oh my God. Let me see. Let me catch up here. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments at this point, but um, yeah, well, the maid, right? I kind of said that, right? Because he wasn't letting the maids in the room, wasn't letting them in, you know. Um, I mean, maybe he thought someone's going to barge in one of these days. Security or something. I don't know. But why do you care? Like, why would you care, man? Why would you care what this maid fucking saw? You know, I'm sure she's seen worse, dude. I was watching a to get a little off topic. I was watching that Steve Sear guy. He's kind of become a thing that I've been watching just to see how casino hosting actually kind of works and stuff. And I was watching him, and he was talking. I think it was him. No, it wasn't. It was someone else. I can't remember who it was. But he was talking about how he was like he worked at a fancy hotel, and he was talking about how he walked in and he was a personal servant. That's right. I mean, that's a bad term to use these days, but that's the way hotels have. They give you a personal dude that sits in your room, and you can just ask him to do whatever the fuck you want. And so, like the old days, having trying to do politically correct this without getting stupid. A butler. There you go, butler. That's the word I'm looking for. Fuck that whole servant thing. But butler. He's a butler for one of these hotels, and he said he walked into the hotel one time. He walked into a hotel one time, into a room, and they're filming a fucking porn, dude. Straight up, he said there were just women and men just getting railed, and he said the whole time he has to be professional, man. Can't even break. Just got to be professional. You imagine walking into that shit. You're just sitting here normally. You're just delivering towels to people and shit like that, man. Maybe you see a naked man or woman here and there because you got to bring them their towel in the bathroom or some shit like that. But all of a sudden you walk in and there's fucking Roman orgy going on in that room and you have to keep a straight fucking face. That's crazy. That's, whew, I don't know. That's a tough job, man. It's a tough job. Let me see. Let me read some of what you got going on. Let's see. Oh shit! Someone's being a problem. You didn't have to delete that, really. I mean, yeah, you didn't. Um, I get it. Yeah. I mean, Thumper, dude. I don't know if you're a weird dude. Like, I don't know if you're actually a weird fucking dude. Um, you say some weird shit and you do some weird shit, and I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. You just seem like a fucking strange fucking person. Um, with shit like that. Um, you didn't figure out who I am. You don't know who I am. By what I'm wearing right here, you can tell where I'm fucking from. Um, but no, you don't know anything about me, and you've been wrong at every fucking turn. Sorry. Let's see. The note was probably next to his wallet, so he'd see it when he left the room. Yeah, we don't know where the note was at. I thought the note. Shit, man. I don't remember where that note was at. Damn. Yeah, I don't remember where that note was at. And we do know two objects that were plugged in. So that is a match. Anyway, just mundane theory. Um, And the vibrators were hidden in the suitcases, which may point to a degree of embarrassment about leaving them out in the open when charging on the counter. Yeah, well, you can charge them on the counter, man. Could charge them in the bedroom, right? You know, where they're going to be used, where they're actually going to be utilized. And shave very well. They said the note was on the table by the window. Was that the same note? Because I know the note on the table was the coordinates, the numbers that don't really make a lot of sense either, man. That's yeah, those numbers. I believe it's the first line makes a lot of sense. That's the bullet drop rate for what the 223 rounds or whatever. The rest of those lines don't really say anything. They don't make a lot of sense, man. It's really cryptic. Let's see. Yeah, thanks, guys. I mean, yeah, that was the if I remember right, the one that's on the floor was the what they called the bullet distance stuff. You know, they said it was the bullet, the drop rate on the bullets. I believe that's what that was. I don't know where the note for the unplugged cell phones was. Yeah, but dude, if it was up there next to his wallet, um, we have footage. We have pictures of that. We have pictures of all that crap that was up there. Um, it's possible they moved it, but I don't know that to be the case. I mean, where were the phones plugged in at? Were the phones plugged in the bedroom? Were they plugged in? I mean, I don't even fucking remember where the chargers were. I think they were in the bedroom. Yeah, well, in their pictures they have that pink notepad, which I'm guessing was hotel, probably stationary, most likely, because most hotels do leave stuff like that in the drawers of the desks. Yeah, we don't see it, so that's the problem. That note that you're talking about on the by the window was the bullet drop rate. Supposedly, is what they were saying that was. Um, but like I said, we went over that. I remember me and JB back in the day, we were going over that very, very heavily. And we tried figuring out what the fuck that even is. I know you even did videos on that. I think it's the first line does the drop rate of a 223 round, if I remember right. And then the second line makes no sense, means nothing. The third line definitely means nothing. Um, at least not that we could figure out. We don't know what the hell any of that was. Looks like it was all written at the same time. Um, and I believe JB kind of matched it up with some of the oh, I forget what it was. Something that Paddock had written in the past. It was like the sales slip for one of his cars, a Chrysler or something like that, or a check or something like that, and it did match up. So it looked like it was actually his writing. I'm sorry, I'm reading. What Jessica just put down here. Because she's going straight out of the report, which is awesome. At the east end of the bar counter was a black holster, a black glove, binoculars, blue hat, brown wallet. The hat was blue? Oh, okay. Uh, that's all dark in the footage. Uh, Tape roll, credit cards, and Nevada ID in the name of Stephen Paddock. Player's card in the name of Mary Lou Danley, valet ticket, notepad with unplugged phones written on it. Okay. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You're right. Um, as well as a black ZTE cell phone with the front Oh, there it is. It came back. I think. Yeah, we're back. All right, so where were we? Um, yeah, so this guy was paranoid, man. This guy had issues. This guy was paranoid. He uh, he had uh, he had tape over the cameras on, little cell phones. They say it there. If you look at the laptop, the picture of the laptop computers, at least the one you can tell, the one on the countertop there has a piece of tape over the top of it, which looks like it's covering probably both the microphone and the camera. Um, that's you know they do have this dude was paranoid. This dude did cover his cameras and stuff like that. He was definitely paranoid. Um, so um, so yeah, that was the other problem with driving 108 miles an hour from Mesquite to Vegas with truck full of guns. Um, dude's paranoid as fuck, and he's gonna drive quite a ways over the speed limit all the way back to Vegas. With whatever he had in there. I mean, even getting rolled on and pulled over. I mean, and then Hunter was always trying to figure out, like, why was he in a hurry? Why did he have to get back at that point? Because I think he went to the El Cortez or something right after that. Um, what was it, the El Cortez, that he had to get back to? Um, because I don't believe he was gambling at the El Cortez, at least not in his normal fashion. I don't know if the El Cortez has high limit slots or whatever, but he's not getting his money back out of the El Cortez. The El Cortez is, I believe it's independent. I'm not sure, but I believe the El Cortez is independent. And so, getting his comps and perks and all that bullshit at the El Cortez, who cares? It's kind of a dungeon, man. I mean, it's a low rent hotel. If you're gonna stay, if you're gonna stay at the El Cortez, you're looking for a cheap hotel. That's what you're doing, and which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, half the time you don't spend time in the hotel anyway. But if you're Stephen fucking Paddock, then what are you doing in there? What is the purpose of that, man? I mean, you could stay at any crazy ass hotel up and down the strip. You're not worried about staying on the cheap, and getting comped at a hotel like that isn't going to matter to a guy like that. So even if you're dumping fucking $100,000 into that hotel, you're just losing your money, and that's why it's kind of a lower. I mean, they got cheap ass machines there. I don't see that as a thing. Yeah, I don't. I mean, we only see them in the high roller. Well, we see them outside of the high roller room too, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can go into the non high roller room, and you can dump some heavy money into some of those machines too. At places like on the strip, at least, Manly Bay, stuff like that, you can definitely dump some money into that. Yeah, I mean, my friend was always telling me that back in the day, when you went to the El Cortez, the only reason you went to the El Cortez is to score. And I'm not talking about sex, man. We're done with vibrators, but no, you went to the El Cortez to score, and whatever you wanted, you could get at the El Cortez, and so what was he doing there? I mean, what the fuck was this guy doing there? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Um, okay, see, I never saw anything on the State Line casinos or any of that sort of bullshit. I mean, I know he was at the Palms. He did some time at the Palms, and we have the receipt of a Palms receipt sitting in the bedroom, I believe. So we know he went there. We know he was a Caesars guy. We know he was an MGM guy. Um, Win. We know he went to the Win. Um, We don't know how much he gambled at the Wynn, but we know he got 2 rooms at the Wynn, in the past. Yeah, or at least according to his nephew or some shit like that. So there is that. So yeah, he did gamble. He gambled all over the fuck place, which, I mean, that's another thing. When his brother talks, I don't know. I have issues with that. When his brother is saying that this is like a job to him, it's a job to him. But then he later came back and said some stupid shit about, the whole thing with Eric. I've always had an issue listening to that guy. It's like, man, what the fuck, because he originally came out crying and shit and saying that he felt so bad for the families of these people and all this sort of stuff, and then later he went back and said, oh, I was just acting. That was all bullshit. So you're going to hear some noise in the background. It sounds like someone's doing some housework. The Eric, kind of, it was kind of goofy. Oh, my cat just came in here. Let me see him in camera in a minute. So, yeah, there he is. So anyway, yeah, Eric Paddock was kind of an issue. I don't know, man. He said that this guy did this as a job. It was his job, right? I don't buy that, dude. I don't. I think this guy was just a degenerate gambler. I think he was I think that actually makes more sense, that this guy was a degenerate gambler, and that this guy, I mean, he owed, I forget how much money to the casinos, like $600 or something like that. And so he was borrowing, money to continue gambling. So he's not one of these guys that takes, $100,000 to the fucking casinos and just starts spending it, and has his limit. Nah, dude, he fucking borrows money while he's there. There's my little guy. So that's to me, it would make more sense if he was just a degenerate, man. This guy like gambling everywhere. That would make a little more sense with the El Cortez, with the Palms, with, I guess, the Wynn. I mean, I understand, like, I think the Palms is independent also of the rest of this madness. But as far as MGM and Caesars, when you start gambling at MGM or Caesars, man, you start building up fucking points. I mean, you can get, free rooms pretty much whatever the fuck you want at any of their hotels, right? So, Mandalay Bay, MGM, you can stay at Mandalay Bay, MGM, Luxor, Excalibur. You can stay at any of their properties. Caesars, same way. I went to Flamingo, it's Caesar's property. Caesar's Palace, Caesar's property, of course, obviously. Paris, Caesar's property. So you can stay at any of their properties, and your comps work at any of those properties. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Even the Palms, because Palms is a nice place. But why would you want to build up comps at the fucking El Cortez? I mean, I get it if you don't have a lot of money to spend. I mean, and not everybody's fucking rich, but we're not talking about your average person like me. I don't spend a lot of money in Vegas, man. I don't gamble a lot. So me, El Cortez, great. That's fine. That would be I actually like the Four Queens, which is right across, which is not the fanciest of hotels either. It's old, and but for someone like me, hey, that's great, dude. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But for somebody that's rich like this, that could just dump shit tons of money. What were you doing there? That doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think gambling was the purpose of him being there. I never did. But I mean, it's possible, man. Maybe the guy is a degenerate. Like I said, that would make the most sense, right? This guy's degenerate, just fucking needs to gamble. Always has to fucking gamble, and so he's just dumping money in machines, man. Hey, there's a casino right across the street there, man. Gotta go dump some money, man. Bring fucking $50 and just blow it. Maybe that was his thing. Maybe he's addicted to gambling. Maybe he's a degenerate. I don't know. That makes more sense than this was a job to him. No, I don't buy that. I don't. I have issues with that. I have issues with everything that guy said. I think his other brother, man, that was even crazier. When we started going on the Bruce Paddock train, holy shit, man. well, he said something about well, it's easier to spend money when it's not your money. Well, whose money is it? Oh, speculation. Not gonna talk about that. What the fuck, man? You just drop a bombshell like that shit and you ain't gonna fucking elaborate? Are you fucking kidding me? And then you're saying how, oh, well, I haven't seen my brother in 20 something years. And how the fuck do you know whose money this is? What information do you fucking have here, buddy? But, we'll never know. We'll never know on that. Trying to think what else he said that was really fucking crazy. Hookers and blow. Hookers and blow. Yeah, that's what Paddock was into. Hookers and blow, according to Bruce Paddock. How would you know? You haven't seen your brother in 20-some years or some bullshit. I forget what the exact timeline was there. But yeah, I think it was over 20 years that you hadn't seen this guy. You hadn't seen him in 20-some years, man. But, we're not going to speculate. No speculation. That's speculation. I'm not going to talk about that. You just did. You just fucking did. Either you speculate on this shit, but you're saying you're not going to speculate, or you're not speculating and you know something and you're fucking lying about your interactions with this person. So that oh shit, Vegas is fucking crazy. This whole thing's fucking nuts. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the El Cortez, because he had certain machines he was gambling on. The ones he was gambling on that we see in the video, I believe they're called Triple X. I don't remember, Triple X Diamond or some shit like that. I think that's what they were called. It was some weird Triple X thing. Because I've been there. I actually had a friend throw some money into those exact machines, and that was because I said you need to put some money in those machines, because those are winners. And I've been in that room, that high limit room. It's real small, actually. It's a tiny high limit room. Most of them are, but because most of the casinos are built for plebs like me, and so the payouts on these things, like generally they say that a payout is 90% on a high roller slot machine or high roller anything. It's generally 90%. 90%. I think it's 90 if I remember right. I think they said you can get it up a little bit from that, but it's generally 90%. So you're going to lose, right? You're going to lose. And generally, my understanding of the way slot machines work, machines in general work, is 90%, right? So you bring in $100,000, you're going to lose 10% of that $100,000. I don't know over the course of what, but you throw, you make a couple bets for $1,000. You're going to lose 90% of that $1,000 over a certain amount of fucking time. But their idea is like that's the reason slot machines make the most money, because slot machines, people can push that button like crazy, and that 90% eventually eats up all your fucking money, right? So it's math. I suck at math. I'm not good at math. That's why I don't gamble. Let's see. I don't know, man. Maybe Danley's a degenerate gambler too, man. Maybe she loves that shit. Maybe that's her thing, I don't know. Maybe she's right. Okay, so let's not put her name into this because I don't want to get in trouble. But let's put her. Let's just say that a lady marries a dude with money, right? Not necessarily a wealthy guy. I mean, we're not talking about billionaires here necessarily, unless you're going off, the Bruce Paddock, well, it's not your money. You're not gambling with your money. So let's say lady marries this rich dude, or not marries, starts hanging out with this rich dude, and starts going through these casinos, and the rich dude's gambling. Rich dude's just gambling his money out, and just throwing his money away, man, like crazy. You're going to reap the benefits, right? Because at any time you can go stay at any of these fancy hotels. They're going to give you vouchers for, the Gucci store at the Caesars. whatever Mile High shops, whatever the fuck those are called. I don't think it's Mile High, it's something else. But you're going to get all these little perks and all this bullshit, out of this gambling, right? Because this person's going to throw $100,000 and then they're going to comp back 30%, I think it is, if I remember right. So, out of that $100,000, 30 grand is going to be thrown back at you in comps, right? So you're going to benefit from those comps, right? Now, whether that's a $5,000 gift card to the Gucci fucking store or whatever the fuck it happens to be, whatever your thing is, the vibrator shop, I don't fucking know. But, so you have this, let's say you have this rich lady or this lady that marries this, gets with this rich guy. This rich guy has a gambling problem. Well, it's not a big fucking deal to you because you're claiming the benefits. Now, you may not even give a shit about this fucking person, man, because we see that in America. We've always seen that in America. You may not even give a fuck about this person. You're just letting him fucking run himself into the ground because eventually there's more fish in the sea for you. So it doesn't really fucking matter. So you let this person run themselves in the ground. You benefit off it as much as fucking possible. You get to stay in fancy hotels, all that sort of bullshit. And if the money ever runs out, you got options. But I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, spitballing with what you just put out there. That's kind of a thought that comes to my head. But I do find it easier to say this guy was a degenerate gambler, had to fucking gamble, just needed that shit all the time, and just always fucking Jones to fucking gamble. And so, and that's why he's always in Vegas, always, doing this sort of stuff. Maybe he actually did have money, dude. Maybe this guy was fucking wealthy. Maybe there's some bank account out there. I don't know how the fuck he made his money, but, who knows? I mean, not to go into crazy speculation and bullshit, but the dad did do some fucking illegal shit at some point. And I don't know, what the details behind all that was, because I never really went through a lot of that. But, this guy, maybe he had a lot of money. Well, let's say he had a shit ton of money. And, oh man, I just lost that train of thought completely. He's just rolling that money into the fucking ground, dude. Yeah. So he just liked gambling, dude. Just loved fucking gambling, dude. Just had to throw money into machines, man. Everywhere he went, he had to throw money into the machines, and we saw him on the decline where, as opposed to, him having $1 billion a fucking year ago, now he's down to 500,000. He feels like he's fucking broke. He's losing his fucking cash. That is a fucking possibility. And the guy is a degenerate gambler. He knows this way of life is about to fucking end because you're no longer going to be throwing $100,000 into a slot machine every fucking night when you only have 500 grand in the bank. You're going broke. You're losing. Just thought. It's Miracle Mile. There you go. The Miracle Mile shops. But So yeah, as far as her doing something about it, I don't know. Maybe we just don't know, man. I mean, we don't know anything about her. We don't know anything about really any of the, a lot of these people, right? We don't know anything about Padding, for Christ's sake. I mean, we could look at his history, his background report. We could see all his transactions with houses and stuff like that. Some of those are a little strange too. Some of those are really strange. But one other thing. It's very interesting. And I'll say that here. I'll say it here because I just kind of stumbled upon this the other day. And it doesn't really, I'm not going anywhere with this. I'm not throwing a conspiracy or any of this stuff about this. Well, okay. I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, I'll get into your comment in a minute here. Grant Cardone. I don't know how many of you guys know who Grant Cardone is. If you remember that name, I'm sure a lot of people do who have been heavily into this. Grant Cardone is a rich guy. He's fucking rich. And he was doing a seminar in Vegas that night. And what he does, and you'll see positive, negative on the internet. I'm not saying anything positive, negative about him. I don't know him really. I don't know anything about him. I'm not involved in any of that. But he basically from what I understand, is he buys buildings like apartment buildings, stuff like that. At least this is what has been said on the internet, um, on YouTube, and he buys apartment buildings. Well, he was doing a seminar that night. We heard it in. There was a guy who was sitting in one of the parking garages, talking from the parking garage, saying, Grant Cardone, this and that, and this and that, and he's safe, and all this sort of stuff. We even have video of the guy in, I think one of the freezers. I think he got locked in with a bunch of other people, and I think it was Mandalay Bay even. So this guy is he invests in properties, and the property investor, right? And he basically, gets people to invest in his properties with him, invest in his business, which his business then turns around, buys these properties, invests the money into properties, and then throughout the revenue generated from those properties pays out a certain amount to his investors, right? So, that's my understanding of it. But I watched a fucking interview with him the other day. It was kind of interesting. It was him back in the day, like way back in the day, and he was talking about how his first property was in Texas. I think that's what he was saying, if I remember right. He said he bought a house in Texas, and he was explaining how, and I'm not here to go one way or the other with it, because I think the video I was watching was kind of bashing, trashing on him a little bit. But I'm not here for that. I don't know anything about him other than what I saw. And but he's saying that this guy was saying that he bought his first house in Texas, right? He realized that wasn't as solid of an investment as him buying an entire like complex of rental properties. And and I thought that was interesting, right? That was interesting. Now, I don't know how many people really kind of get the irony there, but Steve Paddock was buying apartment units in Texas, in Mesquite, Texas. That was one of his things. By the way, sun's going down, so the shading's gonna get a little stranger. But yeah, he's buying property in Texas, and he happened to have this guy doing this seminar about exactly that in the building. Like I said, it's it's nothing. It's just something I thought was very ironic and interesting that those two paths happen to collide. I don't find anything past that into it, but I just thought it was interesting. It's another one of those interesting things that is Vegas. So you talk about like Mary Lou, right? Mary Lou being on the FBI payroll. Oh man, so was she? I mean, how does that work, right? I saw that video. I saw a video Fash put out back in the day, and I don't have any reason to disprove her or that information necessarily. But what does that mean? What does that mean? How do they? This is something I used to go over with a lot of people, and as far as Mary Lou Danley goes, what does that mean that she is paid by the FBI? What does that mean that she was on that website saying that she was employed by the FBI at some point? And what does it mean that it was just put up there, right before, according to Fash, it just appeared there that day or day before or something like that. I don't know the timeline exactly, but what does that mean? What does that fucking mean? How do they parse that information? How did they find out that she was somehow connected to the FBI, that website? How does that work? That's something that if you're going to pin Mary Lou to the FBI, that's something you have to know. You have to understand that. You have to figure that out, because I don't know. I don't have that information. So, okay. Yeah, I was just seeing if you were replying to that. But yeah, so that's there's cat again. So anyway, that is what's he doing? He's checking out the car. He's exploring. So that is, that is what I would see you would have to do. If you want to run that into the ground, you would have to figure out, okay, this website, how does this website get their information? What is that information based off of? What does that mean that she was, somehow employed by the FBI? Did she cash a paycheck from the FBI? Let's see. FBI info on apartment application. Okay. I mean, that's I haven't seen that. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I didn't watch a lot of Nene stuff, dude. To be honest with you, I didn't. Um, I'm not gonna talk ill of her. There he is. How the hell are you doing, man? I'm not gonna talk ill of her, dude, because I don't do that. But she I don't I didn't watch her videos. I didn't watch her videos. There was a point where I stopped watching her videos. I just didn't. So I don't know a lot of what came out of her channel back in the day. I really don't. So I'd have to see that for myself, to be honest with you. Let's see. Well, her fingerprints were on the bullets and guns. Yeah, definitely. And box. She admitted to that. I mean, that's something, that's something JB went into. And I don't know if he did it publicly. But I'll be honest, man, he went hardcore and did that, man. He was good, man. But he sat there and he timed how long it would take a person to load these clips. And I mean, the amount of ammunition he had at the empty boxes in that room, it would have taken a shit ton of time. So it's not hard to fathom that, while he was at home loading these clips, that Mary Lou was somehow helping him out. I mean, he probably had these clips, stacked up in his garage at some point. Maybe he liked to go shooting once in a while. Maybe he took her with him. I don't know. But, it's very plausible that, yeah, I mean, you got bullets, you got clips, may as well fill those clips with those bullets, if you're going to fire them someday. And then when all this happened, it's very possible that she just said, well, yeah, my shit's probably all over that because, yeah, he was loading. He had a lot of those clips in the garage and, whatever. Well, he did load. Okay, so you see how much ammo he had in that room? I mean, 4,000 rounds, I think. It was over 4,000. But, just 4,000 alone. Imagine loading that much ammunition into a clip. No. He didn't do all that in his room. And those boxes, there were a lot of those boxes in that room. He did load a lot of ammunition in that room, but I think the bulk of that all came from the house. I don't think that came from that room. And there's no freaking way possible that this guy loaded 4,000 rounds of ammunition in that stay that he had at the Mandalay Bay. It takes too fucking long. And, and one thing JB was always talking about is how much your fingers hurt, pushing that shit down into a clip, man. Vibrator. But no, I doubt it. Not for your fingers. There's better ways of doing that. But yeah, he did load some from the room. He definitely did. He did. I mean, shit, tracer rounds, man. He didn't even have them until he was out there. They had the box in the room, for Christ's sake. Yeah, she didn't help load the guns, to be completely accurate here. I would say she didn't help load the guns. She helped load the clips that went into the guns eventually. But yeah, he did. I think what they're trying to say here is that a lot of these clips came from his house. He brought loaded clips from his house. And at the same time, for some weird ass reason, and that's another one of those weird things, right? You got that much ammunition, man. Why do you need more? He didn't even fire off like, half of it. So why did you need that much, man? Um, what was the real plan here? What was the real idea behind this? If you have 4,000 rounds, you're only going to fire off 1,000. It's weird, weird. Um, well, I think, yeah, the weight of those, yeah, the weight of those. I think the weight of everything would have been pretty extreme. Um, you know, I mean, he didn't carry the shit up though, man. He made the bellboys do it. So I'm guessing he probably had a thing, maybe what, 30 pounds a bag, I would say. 30 pounds a bag. I don't know how much ammunition would weigh 30 pounds, you know, but throw 30 pounds in a bag, throw a bunch of towels on top of that, so to lighten it a little bit, or something that, towels don't weigh much. So to fill in the rest of the room in that bag so that the shit wasn't rattling around. The guy's like, hey, what the fuck is this? What's in this thing? I'm guessing that would have been the thing. Even the guns too. The guns would have weighed, quite a bit of everything up there would have weighed some stuff. So, but yeah, I think that's the honest, like, that's what we're dealing with here, man. I mean, they're trying to say that, he loaded a lot of this at home, which Mary Lou would have helped out, definitely. I mean, what's weird is she probably wouldn't even have known. She probably would have sat here and if this is all legit, okay, I'm not going conspiracy here. I'm going with the narrative. If this is legit, and she hears about this on the news, sees her boyfriend's picture on the news saying that he did this, she would probably sit there and say, well, um, we loaded a lot of shit into a lot of fucking clips last week. Holy shit. Hey, FBI, my fucking fingerprints may be on that shit. Full disclosure, don't arrest me. Don't come after me. Don't tase me, bro. So 2 boxes, 100 rounds, weigh about 5 pounds. Let's see. So by my calculation, you get about 30 pounds, 30 pounds a bag. That would be, man, my math is off. What, 600 rounds? 600 rounds a bag? That's not too bad. It's not too bad. Then you're talking about the clips themselves also, because a lot of these would have already been loaded into clips, right? So I'd say about 500 rounds a bag. Put about 500 rounds into a bag. You only had 4,000 rounds up there. That's 8 bags. I'm sorry, my math is fucked up right now. My whole head's kind of spinning right now. Yeah, so it's possible, right? It's possible. It's totally possible. 8 bags. 8 bags for all the ammunition. Like I said, 30 pounds is not that bad, man. I got go bags, bug out bags, weigh 65 pounds. Holy shit, that's crazy. It's crazy thinking I'm gonna be running down the street with that someday, if things ever go chaos. But but yeah, so 30 pounds I don't think is crazy. 25 maybe. Let's say you did 25 pounds. 8 bags. 8 bags. I forget how many exact bags he had. I think it was in the 20s or something like that. Because you also got to account for the guns. Now the guns are space issue. The guns take a lot more space than I think I think the space would be more of an issue than the weight on the guns. But I mean, shit, man. You're not going to carry a full like gun bag up there, which not what he did. I think a lot of the gun stuff was. Well, I mean, he did have that big duffel bag, right? Big duffel bag probably could have carried, quite a few guns. I'm not sure how much guns weigh, to be honest with you. I didn't even know how much ammo weighed until you guys just threw that out there. But honestly, I'm actually surprised because I thought ammo actually kind of weighed more. 4,000 rounds. Let's see, you said 4 pounds per 100 rounds. So 40 pounds? Is that what you're saying? Wait, per 1,000, 40 pounds. So then you gotta multiply that by 4. God, my math is all fucked up, to be honest with you. So it's what 160 pounds. 160 pounds. It's really not that bad. It's actually not. I actually thought it'd be more. I mean, then you got the weight of the clips, which probably don't weigh all that much. I mean, some are plastic, some aren't. Depends on which clips you're talking about. This guy had a lot of ammo up there too, man. And that's another thing. This guy had 3 different types of ammo that he actually fired, right? Which, it's because, he loaded some in the room and stuff like that. Yeah, 106 pounds. So there was a lot of different types of ammo. I was trying to find something with that, because we do have the information out there on what bullets were fired out of what guns, or what kind of ammunition was fired out of what guns, what casings were matched to the various guns. I was trying to find something with that. And, there's, yeah. I was trying to find something with that, and, basically, it's kind of uniform for the most part. Some of the guns I think did have like a little bit of a mixture, but it wasn't like one gun fired one round. Because that's what I was looking for, really, is one gun fired one round that was different from all the rest. Oh my God, what was that fucking round? What was the point of that? Hey, and so, that didn't lead anywhere. That didn't lead anywhere. But yeah, so the guns would have been, like I said, the ammunition is possible. That's very possible. That he brought all that up, through the various trips. Like I said, I would think, me personally, I mean, if I was going to carry heavy shit, wherever the fuck, I'd probably limit it to about 25 pounds a bag. And, 8 or 9 trips or 8 or 9 bags, I would have taken care of the ammunition. At that point, then you got to deal with guns. And like I said, I don't know how much the guns actually weigh. I didn't know how much the ammo weighed until you guys just told me. And it actually works. Actually makes sense. Some of that. So, I mean, but yeah, the ammunition. All right. See you later, man. Or you're not a man. Sorry. I'm not trying to gender misappropriate people here. But I'll see. I can't even remember the name of your old channel, man. I'm sorry. I said my head's not really all there today. I got a little bit on my mind. But anyway, yeah, ammunition. Fuck, ammunition's a fucking mess. This dude had, talk about ammunition, because I've hit on this a million times. I know people don't like really pay attention to a lot of what I say. Angelica. I'm sorry, Angelica. Yeah, like I said, my head ain't working all that well. Yeah, it's been a long couple days. So, as far as the ammunition goes, you have multiple clips up there, right? You had 100-round clips, the high capacity, which were the majority of what was used. You had, I believe it was 60. It was 60 and 30 and I think 40-round clips or something of that nature. I think that's what you had, if I remember right. They were all different. They're all completely different. You can tell, you can kind of make them out. And he had them stacked within different suitcases. I don't think that the way those clips were stacked in the suitcase, in fact, I'm pretty sure those suitcases wouldn't have handled the weight of how he had those stacked at the time of the shooting. I think a lot of that he did later. But you can see the different clips within those things. And to me, that was always interesting. Like, what was the point? What was the point? You just didn't have enough high capacity clips. So you just thought, well, maybe, if I run out of this, I'll start shooting the 60 round magazines and, move down the ladder. But, and then the smaller clips he had to shoot down the hallway. And I don't remember what kind of bullets, I never even got that far into that. What kind of bullets he actually shot down the hallway, if they're different from the bullets that he was shooting down at the crowd, again, I don't know. I that's something that, now I'm thinking about it. It's something I would like to do, but I'm probably never even going to get around to it at this point. I don't really care anymore. Um, I say I feel that, as far as dealing with this shit publicly, this is probably the last time I'm going to do this. I just, I said that the one reason, the one thing that was keeping me involved in this, that was keeping me motivated into this, is no longer here. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really care to do this really anymore. Um, so, but yeah, he did have different, different clips within that room, different sizes in that room. He didn't use a lot of them, and since he didn't use a lot of them, then what was that about? It's what was he planning? What was the plan here? Not just what happened. What was the plan? Behind a lot of that. So, that was kind of the deal. You know, um, you can see the different clips. You have three different, I believe, three different ones. You have now it's like four. It's like four different ones within 135. You have the high capacity. You have a bag full of, the high capacities are like a grayish color, dark gray. You have the bags. You have one that has cream colored. You have one that has black colored clips in it, and then you have a clip that's sitting up on the table up there. There's a round table, right behind the bar stools and all that sort of stuff. And on that round table, you have a clip there that looks like it's gray with black grips on it. And then on top of that, you got in 134, you have a different set of clips just for um, the AR-10s as opposed to the AR-15s, which you fired on the crowd. Yeah, I'm almost done here, man. Um, yeah, like I said, I came on here with the intention of just talking about Hunter. Um, like I said, there's within this social fucked up experiment, that this whole thing has been, within all the bullshit, the drama, the assholes, the fucking crap that we fucking put up with in this Vegas shit. He was the one good guy, man. He was good. Never got involved in drama. Never got involved in bullshit. Um, he was smart. He didn't. He was good. You know. Um, yeah, sucks that he's gone, man. Sucks. And like I said, we called each other friends, man. That's what it was. You know, I mean, the last video, he reminded me of that. And yeah, he did say he wasn't feeling good in that video, in the email that I read earlier. Um, you know, but yeah, he would say the same thing, man. I consider you a friend, and I'd say the same thing back to him. So yeah, that's like I said, it's tough, dude. It's tough. That's a tough thing to deal with. Um, you know, but yeah, I don't know. Well, it's private with you. It wasn't private with me. Talk to him all the time. Um, yeah, like I explained earlier, Hunter's thing was, you know, he sent me a video, and I think it was, like I said, I think it was Thanksgiving, and he was talking about how he wanted to be done with Vegas, but he couldn't. He just couldn't let it go, and those were exact words. I just can't let it go. I can't let it go, bro. He used to always say that, bro, because I say it all the time. So I rubbed off on him a little bit. But he said I can't let it go, and I can't let it go because I'm here. Ah, shit. You know, I can't let it go because I'm I'm here with my family, and there's 58, was it 59 at the time? I mean, at the time, I don't remember, but there's all these people that can't do this and can't, you know, don't have this option anymore, and these families are torn apart, and he said, so I can't let it go. He wanted to change his channel. He wanted to go over and start doing other, mystery stuff because, when this thing got fucked up with the drama, the bullshit, he wanted out. He wanted to go do something similar, something that we wouldn't have the bullshit, the trolls, and the fucking gnarly, nasty shit going on, and, but he couldn't let it go. He couldn't let it go. This was his passion, um, it's that, it's that. Well, he was private with you, right? I talked to him a lot. And I explained earlier that there's a group of us that knew about this a while back. And we just weren't sure. And we didn't want to jump the gun on this. And now that it's out there, talk about it. But, the he was private within the community, and that's because of all the bullshit. That's because of all the fucking trolling and all the garbage and all the fucking idiots trying to dox people and do stupid shit. And we've all seen it. Yeah, so everybody's fucking fairly private in this shit because you have to be. Because people are fucked up. We're dealing with a bunch of shitty ass fucking people. So, but yeah, he was a good guy, man. He was the best of us, as far as all this shit goes. Never got involved in any drama and never got involved in any bullshit. He was smart. He fucking came up with more than anybody else. More than anybody else. Yeah, so. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, so you're talking shit. You're talking shit. It figures, of all the fucking assholes, you'd come in here talking shit. At a time like this, you're talking shit. That's funny. That's real fucking mature of your ass. But yeah, I mean, not talk personal, but I'm just talking about my interaction with the person and how much I appreciated everything about him. As far as Vegas goes, I mean, I don't think you can find anybody better than him, man. I just don't. Never did. He was the reason I made this channel in the first place. And yeah, I'm not gonna go talk personal. I'm not gonna say his name. When I read that letter earlier, man, when I read that letter earlier, I didn't include any of the fucking information. I could tell you who he was. Not here to dox fucking person out. Not here to do any of that shit. Yeah, 100 passed people. 100 passed. And yeah, he's gone. And so, like I said, there's no further reason for me to be here, I don't think. For last year, he helped me. He kept me into this. He kept me going. And I don't know. A lot of what I talked about within the last year at least was stuff that was going on between me and him, talking back and forth. Ideas that got shared between us, and yeah, everybody liked Hunter, man. Everybody liked Hunter. I said he was a friend. He's a good friend, and yeah, couldn't miss this guy. All right, I'm gonna end this. I don't know if I can do this shit anymore, but have a good day, everybody.